Welcome in. It is day 280, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be going over a game that I actually unboxed. A friend of mine had gotten it and sent it over to me to unbox quite a while ago. And I was really excited. I wanted to try the game. I'd heard good things. It's been on the Board Game Geek hot list for quite a while. The game is called Earth. Now, Earth was a really fun game. The concept of the game is reasonably simple. Essentially, you're just trying to make a 4x4 grid. And when you start the game off, there are going to be 4 different actions above. And whenever somebody takes the action, they get the above action. And then everybody else gets to choose from the below action. Now, in the case of there are 4 different choices, the first one, you get both. You'll get, they're going to go and be able to create 2 cards. And then they'll draw 4, and they will choose one to keep. The other gets discarded. You will get to build 1 card and then draw 1 card. And then everything else is going to be an or, meaning somebody up top is getting a benefit of, like, they're getting some soil, and with the soil they may also get the ability to take a couple cards from hand and put them into their basically points cards. They're no longer going to be worth what they normally do, but they're going to point for you. Below, you get to do that or the other, and you do 2 of each. So it's either you're getting 2 soil, which is what you use to make cards, or you're going to discard 2 cards to your pile, which is going to make them worth points for you at the end of the game. So you're going to do this, but the cards themselves has abilities on them. Now, some of them will have black. Black means immediate. Some of them will have brown. Brown means either end of game scoring, or whenever this happens, then you get something. Or you're going to have the colors that you have up top repeated, meaning when it's your turn and you've picked, you can say, I'm going to go to red. Now, you either pick from your 4x4 grid and do all your red abilities first, or you go and you do the red that's on your main board, the actual action you picked. The order of, say you picked your grid, you can do any of them in order. It just matters that you do the entire action at once. So if the action has, you have to discard 3, you're not discarding 2 and then doing another action and then discard the third. You have to discard all 3 right away. And once you're done with everything there, you then come over to the other one and you go, okay, this one says I'm going to get, I think that the red is the soil. So I'll get the 4 soil and I'll discard 2 cards from hand. So you have to follow these through. You're going to play the game until eventually somebody finishes that grid. When they do, look to where your first player marker was. You're going to finish out the round and make sure that everybody got in a equal number of turns. And once you're done there, you're now going to score. You're going to score based on the points that are on the cards, points based on the brown abilities at the end of the game, anything that's in your compost, the cards you were discarding from hand, anything for the trees you were building up on them, and anything for your green cubes, which essentially is like almost like the idea of, I forget what those, it's sprouts. Your sprouts you were putting out there. All of this gets counted, and you'll figure out who your winner is. It's a really simple game, despite looking enormous and overwhelming. A lot of people can kind of compare this one over to Terraforming Mars. It's not quite a bump up for me there, but I get the comparison. There's pieces of it that you might see there, and obviously Mars, Earth, the planetary comparison. I guess it compares in the regards of there's a giant deck of cards in Terraforming Mars, and this also has that. Beyond that, I don't see the similarity, but I see that piece of it. That being said, why don't we jump in? Let's talk our 7 categories and see where this one lands for us. When it comes to the art, I mean, the box is beautiful. The cards are beautiful. The whole idea of this game is that it is a game of beauty. It's meant to be kind of ogled and be like, wow, you see it and your attention is grabbed. And if you see it set up, maybe it's not as overwhelmingly attractive as these games that I kind of get drawn more to, which are more with miniatures or with, the ability of worker placement. But it's still a really nice setup. It grabs the eye. Thumbs up. Your components. Primarily cards. Most of this game is cards. However, you also are going to have your pieces are going to go out for your trees and for your soils, and that's all wood. It's really good quality. Never mind that there's also the wood for your soil. That's going to be your how you pay. It's all really good. Thumbs up. Your price. Game comes in around $60. Now, I think there's enough game here that $60 is acceptable. However, the question is, what are you willing to pay for? Are you going to buy this and Terraforming Mars? I feel like a lot of people will compare the two and say you either want A or B. And for that price, you're going to have to choose one of them. Personally, I lean this direction. I think Terraforming Mars is not as invitive outside of your game group. And this is a game I can play with my wife. I can play with my sisters. I can play with my friends who aren't big gamers. I don't think that means it's a less difficult game. I just think that it's more inviting. It's not to a level of what's expected that you have to be a certain height of gamer, but if you have people of that height, you can make the game competitive. So for me, I think it's worth its price. Thumbs up. Your difficulty. I don't think this is one I would be inviting kids to. I think it's fine for beginners though, and I think it's great for your experienced player, and I think experts can enjoy it too. I have to jump back in and play again. We got in 2 games, and I may or may not have broken the game. On game 2, I crushed everybody, and I just did the same action the whole way through. So there's the question of, did I find a mess up of the game? Or, which is what we kind of are leaning in, it was a lot of luck. I just so happened to lean into an idea that I kept getting exactly the right cards for, which is sometimes just how a game goes. You never know when those games happen that you're going to be overwhelmingly lucky on the card draw. It looks like I got overwhelmingly lucky, but I'll have to play a few more times and lean back into it. So if that's the case, though, and it's a little bit broken, the experts may not like this because they're going to go, well, I know how to win the game every time. It's not fun. It's not competitive. But I think you're experienced, and I think that your beginners will enjoy it. Thumbs up. Replayability. We learned and played the first game in roughly an hour. We played our second game in under 45 minutes. So I think that there's plenty of replayability, especially once you've played it once or twice and you know what you're doing. If you can get 2 games 45 minutes apiece in, that's pretty fast. Now, I don't expect that regularly. I think an hour is more fair on this. But even that being said, that's a game that you can tag at the beginning of a night and then play a 2-hour game. That's a game that you can play a couple times in a row. That's a game that you can just pull out once in a while to have fun with, and it doesn't have to be on game night. I think there's replayability there. Thumbs up. Keys to victory. What are you aiming for? Are you trying to work on more getting your soil amount high so you can always build? Are you trying to get out cards as quick as possible? Are you trying to mess with your rows? Are you trying to make sure you have high paying points on all your cards? Or are you trying to make sure that you've been killing it in your compost pile? Are you trying to make sure that you're getting out all of your little sprouts or building up your trees, or that you have the ability that when you don't want to ever have to get soil, so you get a bunch of cards built so when somebody else picks it, you get a load of soil in from it. There's a lot of options here. Now, you're not always going to have every option because of the luck of the draw, but you can always go all in on your draws in the first few turns and try and build up a hand of options. There's no limit to your hand, so you have that opportunity. So for me, keys to victory, thumbs up. Is the game unique? The game feels unique at times, but when I really thought about it, the building up of the trees didn't seem quite as unique as you'd think. I've played other games that do this and that have your building up of what you're making on the board, and it just isn't quite enough. If we look right behind us here, Takenoko is a game that does that. So we've seen that. You know, your sprouts, that's stuff that we've seen with the little blocks in games, even like Terraforming Mars, as well as the huge amount of the cards. The way they're played down isn't like Terraforming Mars, but you've seen other games where you have this grid setup of cards. So to me, the game is great. It's a nice mixture, and I don't feel I'm getting the exact experience elsewhere. However, it doesn't feel like it's that unique to me. It feels like it's done a great job of combining a few things other games have done, and having some definitely, great mechanics up top. I love the idea of you do an action, I get a sub-action, but we've seen these things before. It doesn't stand out enough. It's a game that I enjoyed playing. I'd love to play again, but I already decided I'm not adding it to my collection, and that's because I don't feel I'm getting something that stands out from my collection enough that it's worth putting in it. And if I see that, to me, that means it's not unique. Thumbs down. Overall, what do I think? I think that it's a really fun game. I think that despite it not being unique enough for my own collection, which is massive, for most of you out there, this is going to be a unique game, and that this is going to be something that's worthwhile for your money and your time. So what I would suggest is make an effort, try to play it. You should be able to find this in any store right now. It's extremely popular. So go out there, find a store that has it, see if they let you do a test play, find some friends. Maybe you can get a group that's all kind of interested in it. Buy it together, play the game, see who likes it, and then make a decision which one of you wants to pay back the others and take the game for themselves. I find that to be a really good way to take advantage of having a game group, because if you're not sure about a game and 3 of you kind of want it, well, it's great if you can play it. At the end, you go, okay, well, now 2 of us really want it. The other one doesn't. We're going to return the money to that person, and then we'll decide between the 2 of us who gets it, or we'll just buy another copy and we'll both own one. But it's a great way to get in there for it. I wouldn't just jump forward to the amount of money this is worth and buy it on the spot until you've played it first, just to be fair. Well, it has been day 280. We've been speaking about the game Earth, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description. I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.